Yo, Matt, should I kick him some game real quick?
Let's dive into it.
It's either problems or profits. You decide.
Lucky got that fire, man.
They can't see the vision, make them a believer. Turning problems into profits, Matt McKeever. They don't like me, I wouldn't like me neither. I'm turning problems into profits, Matt McKeever. Yeah, stack it up, yeah, stack it up. All this real estate, really adding up. So focused, like I'm added up. Doing numbers, they can add it up. Yeah, stack it up, yeah, stack it up. All this real estate, really adding up. So focused, like I'm added up. Doing numbers, they can add it up. Say la vie, get the bag with that ARV. Portfolio straight stack, that's why they hate on me. Best to do it in my units, there's no vacancy. Call my accountant all green, far as they can see. I'm living life by the bird, there's no saving me. I'm plotting wholesale deals so patiently. Like Matt McKeever at a conference, I get paid to speak. I built it from the ground, brick by brick, no masonry. Stack and retire, living life on fire. Analysis paralysis gon' turn you into a liar. Be a man to admire, be a man you would hire. Move fast and break things, get plugged in like a wire. Cash flow, tribe, see me screaming from the balcony. All this health and wealth, I created it with alchemy. House hacking, stacking passive income as my salary. Burning through these listings like I'm running through some calories. You got two choices, either problems or profits. You either want it or got it. You gotta try or you lost it. If you fail the first time, you gotta try other options. Stay protecting your pockets and don't play into the gossip. You got this. They can't see the vision, make them a believer. Turning problems into profits, Matt McKeever. They don't like me, I wouldn't like me neither. I'm turning problems into profits, Matt McKeever. Yeah, stack it up, yeah, stack it up. All this real estate, really adding up. So focused, like I'm added up. Doing numbers, they can add it up. Yeah, stack it up, yeah, stack it up. All this real estate, really adding up. So focused, like I'm added up. Doing numbers, they can add it up. Never play low key, getting deals all week. I never play low key, I'm getting deals all week. Problems or profits, choose one.
All right, what is going on, you guys? Welcome to today's job fair with the Problems or Profits team. My name is Adam J.D. Martin, and I'm going to be hosting you along with, we've got Rebecca Matheson in the room, who's our Disposition Specialist. We've got Amar, who's one of the top wholesalers to ever live. And we've got Natalie Tran, our Executive Assistant and Offer Specialist. So we've got a full house in here tonight. And we're going to be talking to you a little bit about what we're looking for, and hopefully you guys already have a brief history of us, like you've been following us hopefully on YouTube or Instagram, or maybe you just found us on Eventbrite today. And if you did just find us on Eventbrite today, this might be a little bit weird. We are definitely a non-traditional company. I started this company 3 years ago with Matt McKeever because we saw a large gap in what real estate investors were looking for and what was being supplied to them on the open market. So primarily what our company does is we source off-market properties that we can add strategic value to. Okay, so we're looking for properties that are not currently listed on the MLS, and we're using various lead generation tactics and strategies in order to identify these opportunities. And that often looks like door knocking. It looks like cold calling, whether that's Kijiji ads, Facebook ads, or any other type of online advertisement that either we put out or we're calling people on. And then our primary source of lead generation is actually sending yellow letters, which are these handwritten flyers that are photocopied and distributed by Canada Post. And that's primarily what we do. We send a lot of marketing out, and then really the challenge for our company is to identify and follow up with as many leads as possible in order to walk through enough properties to build out a funnel and a pipeline of qualified leads, which are people that have properties where the property itself can actually benefit from strategic renovations like kitchen updates, bathroom updates, flooring, landscaping, lighting, and paint. And So that is ultimately what we focus on. And what we've specialized in for the last few years is essentially small multifamily residential. So that looks like 4 units and under on the residential side. And then we've done a few deals where we're doing commercial on the bottom and residential on top. And largely we avoid almost every other type of deal. So we don't generally trade or deal with agricultural properties. We generally leave vacant land alone. And we generally speaking leave industrial or any other type of large commercial buildings alone, unless they're multifamily residential. So that's a little bit about what we do. If you're just meeting me for the first time, again, like I said, I started this company with Matt McKeever, who you guys probably know from YouTube, about 3 years ago. And we've been constantly working on building out this company and its systems and processes. And we're now at the point where I can confidently say we have better systems, better processes, and more effectiveness than any other team in Canada. We are the best at what we do. And that's essentially who we're looking to bring onto our team, is more people that think like us and behave like us. So thinking like us and behaving like us means following our core values. And the core values that we have for our company spell out impact. Okay, so I'll run you through those real quick, and then Amar's going to give you a bit of a talk as well. But impact for us means the I stands for improvement, and that's continuous improvement. We want to make sure that every single day we wake up, we're getting closer to being better versions of ourselves. And we take a very broad approach on our company to doing that. Being better means eating better, it means sleeping better. For a lot of us, it means fasting during the morning. For a lot of us, it means working out daily and making very strong and healthy habits in that sense. We have multiple book clubs where we read together and we discuss the takeaways and points and main points that we can implement for our business and for ourselves personally in our lives through these various books. So that might look like reading from Jocko Willink or Grant Cardone or Jordan Belfort, or completely changing things. We might, read Aldous Huxley or George Orwell to talk about politics and society. We're a very well-rounded team, and we expect that from everybody on our team. If you look around at our team, everybody's fit. Okay. There's no people that are not fit. There's no people that eat like shit every day. There's no people that have bad habits, like not getting enough sleep so that they can't show up on time, ready to go. Several people, probably 8 people, joined this call today late. These probably aren't the people for my team. Okay. So you guys can stay here if you joined late, but you're probably not the right candidate. Okay. I want people that are obsessed, and I want people that are going to show up every single day and bring their A game, even when they're failing. Okay. A lot of what we do is failing. We face a lot of rejection in what we do, whether that's door knocking or cold calling, or even just the frustrated people that call because of the letters that we send out. This is very common. So if you're easily moved emotionally, if you're easily moved because of what's happening in your environment and things that you perceive as outside of your control, probably not good for our team. We push people very hard here, and we compensate people very well. So the positions I'm looking to hire for are 100% commission, which means I'm going to do everything in my power to compel you to perform at your highest degree. But ultimately, it's kind of the, leading the horse to water situation. Can't make you drink. The people that are most successful on our team have all those best habits and best practices built into their daily lives and their schedules. They use calendars, they go to bed on time, they wake up at the same time every day. Generally speaking, they fast or at least manage their diet so that they're alert and ready all the time. My team is trying to become supple leopards. Okay. And for those of you that have not read Kelly Starrett's Becoming a Supple Leopard, I encourage you to go pick that book up right now. My guys simply are the best, and that's really what we demand of them. In the last few months, and one of the reasons why we're hiring, if you guys want to get a sense of where we're headed, one of the reasons why we're hiring is we recently kind of cleaned out the cobwebs. Okay, we've recently gone through a bit of a transition period where we kind of got rid of the bottom of our team. Okay, we dropped the bottom out on the floor, and that is a very difficult thing to do as a business owner, because obviously you have to understand that you're affecting people's lives. But it's also a very difficult thing to go through life not being your best self. Okay, it's a very difficult thing to go through life and not perform. Okay, it's a very difficult thing to go through life and move slowly. Okay, so improvement's one of our first core values. It's improvement. The second one's movement. Okay, we're more than a business here, and that's why we dropped the bottom of our business out lately and recently, is because being more than a business means that we actually care. Okay, we care for our people. We want to make sure they're becoming their best self. And if we can't create that environment for that person here, we're going to ask that person to leave, and hopefully they will go and flourish somewhere else in a different structure or a different environment that is made for them or better for them. It also means we care about our customers. Okay, a lot of what we do is we buy shitty houses. Okay, we buy houses from people in really rough situations. And if you're going to do that, you need to be ethical. Okay, you need to be smart about this. And you need to understand that what we're doing is ultimately discovering the why and discovering the motivations of our sellers, but not trying to ruin their lives financially. Okay, we're not trying to steal from these people. We are not trying to take advantage of anybody. We're going to do great deals with people that we know that we can help because we're offering speed or convenience or some other terms that they value more than they value necessarily the highest price on their property. Okay, so that's really important to us. More than a business also means we're doing those things like book club. We're making sure that our guys are eating properly. We're making sure they're sleeping properly. We're making sure that they're emotionally supported in whatever ways they need to be. But then that ultimately brings us to the next core value in impact, which is the P. And P for us means performance. Okay, so performance is very important. We are very holistically minded. So I want to make sure that everybody on my team is healthy and spiritually satisfied. But ultimately, if they're just spiritually satisfied and they're not performing, this probably isn't the place, right? Go jump on stage with Tony Robbins or something. It's not what we do here. Money matters. And it actually is very, very important that everybody on my team makes a lot of money. Because they will make better decisions and they will become better people if they do that. Okay. Having more resources is always better for you. It's better for everyone else in your life. It helps you to be a better person and it amplifies your personality. Okay. So if you're thinking money's evil, definitely not the right ecosystem for you. Get out of here now. You won't even need to hear the rest. So performance is very important for us. The way we measure that is we have a series of scoreboards and we have a series of key performance indicators that we track daily. Largely, that's going to deal with offers. Okay, so we're really stressing the idea that you constantly need to be making offers. If you never take a shot, there's no way you're going to score. Okay, that's just how it works. And we need to ultimately take a lot of shots. Our offer acceptance rate is roughly between 7 to 10%. Okay, so you're going to need to make a lot of offers in order to get one accepted, and particularly one that we can sell. Okay, we need to always be able to assign these deals after we accept them. That's how we get our deals to the finish line, is actually getting paid for them, which means assigning it to an investor who's going to go and actually do that project. Okay, so we're exchanging value with them. Finally, we've got the A, which is agility. So agility for us means move fast and break things. We really like to move quickly. And the reason why we're able to do that so effectively these days is because we have a proven system. Okay, we have systems and processes that allow you to become a specialist at wholesaling, which means you don't write your own offers, right? You don't have to worry about dealing with your paperwork. You just have to know the paperwork so that you can present it. The whole point and purpose of the wholesaler on our team is to generate leads and follow up with those leads to the point where they can create a successful negotiation, having understood the why and the needs of those sellers so that they can actually put a price and terms in front of them that they're willing to accept, and a price and terms that we know we can actually execute on. Okay, it doesn't make any sense to offer somebody something that we know if they accept it, we're not going to be able to assign. Okay, so that's a big part of what we do. Moving fast and break things means also that the people on our team, they're not waiting for direction. Okay, they're not asking, oh, what should I do? What do I need to do next? No, you actually need to take a lot of personal ownership, especially in a commission only role. Like a commission-based role, if you don't show up, you don't get compensated, right? If you do show up and you give it your best and you're making progress, you'll ultimately make more money than you've ever seen in your life, more likely, because that's what our best guys do. And any one of them on our team will tell you that. You can reach out to any of them at any point. Feel free to communicate with Amar after this, or Rebecca, or anybody else that you know to be on my team. They'll tell you that. So that is agility. And then finally, we're a click. Okay, so the click stands for essentially our level of due diligence and our level of I don't even know how to put this. Like, we are going to absolutely discriminate against who comes on our team. That's the best way to put this. We only let the best people come on our team. And click is differentiated from community, right? A community is where you can just sign up. It's like a Facebook group. It's free to get in. Anybody can get in. You just have to put your name in or whatever. We don't do that here, okay? We are very selective about who gets to join our team. And one of the reasons for that is we all live together, okay? All of the sales guys live in our houses. We actually pay for your living situation at the houses. Now, when you live with somebody, you're in extremely tight quarters. You're in extremely tight personality and in their space. And we know that it's true that the 5 people you spend the most time with is ultimately who you become, right? The people you spend the most time with and the media that you consume really influences your mindset. And for that reason, we cannot ever allow any bad apples or anybody that's not a great culture fit onto our team. And that's what makes it a clique and not a community. Finally, our final core value is actually truth and transparency. It's both. Truth and transparency means if there's a problem, it needs to be addressed at the exact moment that it happens. Okay. If there's a problem, we like to communicate it to each other. We're very open. If somebody's not doing what we think they should be doing, we tell them that. And if they think we're not doing what they want us to be doing or what they expect from us, I really encourage everybody to tell us that right away so that we have none of the back channel office politics bullshit that you see in a normal job. Okay. Everybody on our team, if there's a problem, they just tell you. And it's the greatest thing ever because it allows us to resolve problems and it allows us more often than not to change a part of our process as part of our continuous improvement so that that problem can be processed out. Okay, one of the ways we designed this business was to be more like a franchise so that almost anybody could pick up the tools and be able to perform the job with very little experience. And actually, you guys don't need any experience really in real estate. We can train you on everything. And that was really important for us, was to build a business where you could put in any kid and teach them how to be a killer closer and a killer salesperson. So that is very important to us. And recently, Amar, who's on the call here, has just developed with one of the other guys on the team a bit of a boot camp for you guys that you're going to be stepping into, which is a 4-week program where we're going to have videos for you and a lot of instructional things for you to do and study up on so that by the end of 4 weeks, we can actually have you prepared to go out and be a fully functional earning salesperson in real estate wholesaling. So that's really important to me. And those are our core values. That's pretty much what I wanted to tell you guys, and I'll let Amar have a quick talk with you guys, and then we'll open it up to any questions or anything that you have.
Cool. Thanks so much, Adam. I really hope that you guys were paying close attention to that and taking notes on the core values, because that is our life philosophy. That is how we approach everything that we do. It stems from those core values, and it bleeds into all the actions and behaviors that we have on a daily basis as a business and just as individuals overall. Now, what I wanted to start off by talking about, I wanted to read a quick quote that I had from one of the ebooks that I wrote. It's called, after I got my first deal, it's called How I Made $25,000 in 68 Days Without Spending a Dime. And the quote goes like this: important. This is not for the faint of heart, weak-willed, or undisciplined individual. This is for the individual that dares to dream bigger than themselves and the individual that is willing to do whatever it takes in an ethical way to get results. Remember, action always comes before results. So don't just read this to get some information. Read this and then apply it in your lives and see the results for yourselves. Now, I think that's very important to keep in mind. Action comes before results, because kind of what I want to talk about is the mindset of a successful wholesaler. Now, I've seen a handful of wholesalers join the team. Some of them are still here, some of them are gone. And the common thread that I've seen amongst the ones who come in and join the ecosystem and don't really last and don't really make it through is that they think this is going to be easy. They think that because they magically join the team, all of a sudden they're guaranteed to succeed and they're guaranteed to get their first deal like that. But I'm here to tell you that nothing in life is guaranteed. You're not entitled to anything. You're not entitled to anything in life, and you're not entitled to anything on this team. So if you expect to come in here and just have it be laid out to you, I'm very sorry, but that's not the case. We're gonna do everything in our power to give you the resources, knowledge, skills, and experiences that we have that will help you succeed. But at the end of the day, it is on you to put in the work. It is on you to get up every single day and to make sure that you're performing the right behaviors, the right tasks, and that you're implementing the proper habits in your life to become the person that you want to become. Now, another thing that I see, the ones who come in and don't really do well and just leave, they're focused on the wrong things. And energy flows where focus goes. A lot of the times they're focused on the end result. They're focused on the money quickly. They're focused on, I want fast cash now. And the reason that is it's poor to focus on that is because it trips you up in the process and you don't really focus on the skills that you're developing right now. The ones who succeed, the ones who do really, really well in this ecosystem, in this environment, are the ones that are focused on relentlessly building skills on a daily basis. They go by the Kaizen principle of getting 1% better every single day. Because when that's your focus, when your main focus is evolution, is becoming the best version of yourself, is constantly striving for more, then what happens is you don't trip up once you hear the no's. Like Adam was saying, there's a 7 to 10% acceptance rate. You're gonna hear a lot of rejection. A lot of times you're gonna hear a lot of fuck yous. Funny enough, I just got a text from a person saying, fuck you, don't put flyers in my mailbox. Now that stuff doesn't phase you when you're focused on getting 1% better every single day, because what you're focused on is gathering skills that have utility in the real world. And ultimately, that's what all of this is about. Wholesaling is a way to master the art of sales, master the art of negotiation, and develop yourself overall as a person who has superbly high-level communication skills. And when you can do that, you can take that and apply it anywhere in your life. And then you can start focusing on the next skill to build. But that is the first and foremost, most important skill to build right now, because if you can communicate with people effectively, then you can do whatever you want in life. And that's kind of the ones that are really succeed are focused on that. Like when I first started on the team, my two focuses was I was knocking doors, and B, I was listening to podcasts, reading books, listening to books on how I could get better at knocking doors. That was my main focus, relentlessly getting better every single day. And when that's your focus, you start making the switch from failure to feedback. And that's a frame game right there. When a lot of times people will hear the no, they will get rejected, they will have somebody spit in their face because they offered too low or whatever it may be. And that failure will bring them down. But when you make that switch from failure to feedback, and all of a sudden, every time you fail, you realize that scenario is just giving you feedback on where you need to improve and how you can do better the next time. That's how you build yourself into an ultimate individual that can just go on and to do amazing things. Wholesaling is not the end all be all. It's not the thing that I want to do for the rest of my life. But right now, I know that it's a very, very lucrative business if you get really good at it, and you need to milk it as much as possible and focus on gathering the skills so that then you can take those and transfer them over to whatever the fuck you want to do in life. But that is the main thing, is I need to develop that skill, and I need to do whatever I can in my power to develop that skill. I was doing so many different things outside of this ecosystem to make sure that I'm developing myself as a person overall, not just specifically sales and negotiation, but overall, because that bleeds into everything that you do in life. When I'm the type of person that can withstand, I did an ice bath yesterday for 5 minutes. It was like negative, like ice all around me, and I was just sitting there for 5 minutes. And the whole time in my head, I'm telling myself, if I can be the type of person that can sit in this ice bath for 5 minutes and withstand that stress on my body, and every ounce of me is telling me to get the fuck out of there, but I'm like, nope, I'm the master of my mind. I'm the master of my body. If I tell myself I'm going to do something, I'm going to do something. That bleeds into everything else that you do. So that's why our main, the first core value that we have is improvement. Because when you're constantly focused on improving yourself every single day, getting 1% better every single day, then everybody around you benefits. Everybody in this ecosystem, everybody in your life, your family, your friends benefits. And most of all, obviously, your bank account benefits greatly from that. Now, honestly, this joining this team has been a life-changing experience for me. It's been a once in a lifetime opportunity. It's fucking crazy thinking about where I would have been if I didn't join this ecosystem. But again, with that being said, I put in a lot of fucking work and I've dealt with a lot of tough days. And that's just, you get better at dealing with them. Actually, they don't get easier. You just get stronger and you get tougher. So if you guys are the type of people that are focused on that, you want to become the best version of yourself. You don't want to settle for mediocrity. You don't want the 9-to-5, just the regular white picket fence life. You want more than that. And you know that you can be more than that. Then this is the perfect environment for you guys to thrive in, because you're going to be surrounded with like-minded individuals. You're going to be living with like-minded individuals, and you become the average of the 5 people that you spend the most time with. So just through osmosis, you're going to fucking crush it. But you have to have that focus. You have to have that relentless drive to get better every single day, no matter how many no's you're hearing, no matter how many times the door gets slammed in your face, you keep fucking going, because you know that is developing your character. Every time you get up when you don't feel like getting up, when you work out when you don't feel like working out, you go door knocking when you don't feel like you want to go door knocking. Every time you do those things, every time you do the things you know you should when you don't feel like it, that builds your character, that builds your self-esteem, that makes you feel better about yourself. And ultimately, that other guy is not doing that. And when you are that guy that is doing that, you're going to set yourself apart, and you're going to be so much further ahead than everybody else. It's going to be funny. Like, it's going to be crazy how much further ahead you are. Now, I think I've been on the team since May 2020, I believe. So 14 months now. And I am $260,000 away from hitting $1 million in gross wholesale fees. So you do the math on that. And I think I just assigned my 26th deal that last Monday. So the Monday that just passed. So it's fucking real. It's real, guys. It's possible. You can make life-changing, crazy life-changing amount of capital in this ecosystem. But you have to have that relentless drive, that relentless focus to just become the best, strongest version of yourself every single day. And when you see people around you working hard, motivates you to work harder. And honestly, I don't want you here unless you're going to be motivating me to want to become better. Those are the type of people that we're looking for. And if you are that type of person, I guarantee you, you will crush it. We've developed a solid 4-week program that will give you all the tools and resources that you need to actually succeed and to just become the best wholesaler that you can as fast as possible. I didn't have that when I first started. Now, it kind of just threw me into the fire and I kind of had to figure it out. But you will have mentors above you that you will get to shadow, that you will get to learn from consistently. But at the end of the day, it's on you to put in the fucking work. And if you're not putting in the work, if you're not making the offers, we will see that right away. So don't think that you're going to sneak by and that you're going to fly under the radar and be like, oh, maybe I'll sneak my way in there. No, it's not going to happen. But if you're that person, I'm very, very fucking excited to meet you. And I'm very, very excited to build and grow with you throughout our whole lives. Because we're building lifelong relationships here. The people that I've met on this team, I'm going to know for the rest of my life. I'm going to build businesses with them for the rest of my life. And we're going to make a lot of fucking money. We're going to have a lot of fucking fun together. That's what it's about, guys. That's what it's fucking about. So get excited. Get amped up. Get ready to put in the fucking work. And let's make it happen. One more time. I'll read the quote. This is not for the faint of heart, weak-willed, or undisciplined individual. This is for the individual that dares to dream bigger than themselves, and the individual that is willing to do whatever it takes to get results. Remember, action always comes before results. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Mara. That was fantastic. And I just wanted to show you guys kind of what we're talking about here, because this will maybe give you a better idea of how we do things around here. So this is our scoreboard. It's actually a live updated scoreboard that runs constantly that all of the guys have access to. So what we try to have fun with this stuff. We try and gamify these things, and we try and just do whatever we can to make this exciting for everybody. So we've got a lot of incentive programs. Amara actually just hit our tier 3 incentive program, which we're rethinking now because the whole world shut down. We try and make this really fun, like whether that's going out together and renting cottages, or we're going whitewater rafting with a bunch of the team in the next coming week or so. But this is the other thing that we do, right? Like we build everybody out cartoons. Amar's actually our current champion for the month with 65,000. He's done 2 deals, 104,000 flyers sent, and a 20% acceptance ratio, which is actually quite exceptional. And he's made 15 offers this month, so light on offers, but really effective with those leads that he was getting in. So that's the type of thing we're talking about. And we've got basically all of this stuff categorized in here. So if you want to look at what some of our top performers are doing, we've got Jordan here at the top with 507,000 so far for the year. Amar's right there at 452,500. And we've got Tyler at 367. So we've got a lot of high performers on our team. And ultimately, that's one of the biggest reasons why you would want to join our team, is you can learn from these guys. They are absolutely the best in the business, and that's really what we want to cultivate here. So thank you everybody for joining. I'm going to just select this now so that you guys can unmute if you want. Drop any questions you want into the chat. And if you do want to unmute and ask any questions, feel free. I think you can unmute now. Classic Zoom stuff. 2 years later, figuring it out.
I have a question if you started off.
Let's hear it, Jacob.
So first of all, thanks for having me. Really informative on what you guys told us so far. Amar, great job on the ebook. I did read it, and it was very inspiring to see just what it takes, right? So my first question would be that, do you guys only cover properties in Canada, or do you guys cover in the States or anywhere else internationally?
Yeah, great question. We have built out a very large buyers list, but it is very intensely focused on Southwestern Ontario, honestly. We're breaking in now to GTA and what I would consider generally some of the satellite areas around the GTA, like for example, Hamilton, Belleville, Peterborough, Pickering is where that house is actually situated. So we're breaking into that, but it takes a long time to enter markets. So we're not even fully established yet in that area. I wouldn't say anyways. And largely a lot of our buyers are going to be sort of from that Windsor to Hamilton stretch of the 401 or 402 there. So it's, that's largely where we've been focused. We have done some random deals kind of outside of those boundaries, but I would say like we're largely a 401 sort of focus, and going outside of Canada is something we've never done. But one thing to think about here too is there is so much opportunity. Like there are so many deals. It's actually absurd. Even when we just look at Southwestern Ontario. So one thing I don't think we've ever run into is a lack of leads or a lack of territory or a lack of houses for sale. So while we don't expand to a terribly large geographic area, we have a lot of houses in these areas, right? Most of our population lives kind of in the Southern Ontario of Canada. And that's where we're marketing. I mean, there's hundreds and hundreds of thousands of houses in the areas that we're marketing to. But yeah, we haven't really found it necessary to expand beyond that. I would say one of the things that we were most considering was going to New Brunswick next, but some of the COVID restrictions and the way that you have to quarantine if you're going back and forth from there make it a little bit prohibited for us. So we're putting that on pause, but I would say that's our next destination. Okay, that or Alberta is where I want to move to next. But yeah, I don't think going outside of Canada is going to be easy for anybody. One of the reasons for that too, guys, is that there's very few Canadian wholesalers. Okay, there's probably what I would consider 3 notable companies, ours included in that 3. Okay. Other than those 3 notable companies, there's really nothing. There's a bunch of independent people that are trying to do it, but they're not doing it at scale. And there's just not a lot of people here. When you go to the States and you look at something like Arizona, or you look at Texas, you look at Florida, there are a tremendous number of wholesalers there, and it's quite saturated. And we're very far from that happening here. In fact, I don't think we'll ever have the numbers that the States has. I think we'll have regulatory issues before we ever run into that type of saturation. So for that reason as well, I don't think it's good to play in a lot of those states or in the United States.
Thanks.
I got
David?
it. Ooh,
Sorry, I don't know who just talked there, but
that was me right here.
woo,
Hand up right here.
Ahmed, let's go.
Yeah. Hey, how's it going? Thanks a lot for that. That speech, Amar, it was really great. Talking about mindset and action, of course. I did have one question though. I was keeping up with I think Matt's YouTube video yesterday talking about this upcoming election. Now, my question was, let's just say the Liberals win. I see something online about sellers. There's going to be a way sellers would be able to sell their house, like auction or something like that. I wanted to know, does that affect wholesalers, for example, because we are finding people who sell their houses, and there's something about auction now. I think it's non-bidding or something about auction, but I wanted to know more information about that.
I don't think that's going to affect private sales. I think that's going to largely be focused and centered around on-market deals, but already OREA is fighting back on that, pushing back on that. And I personally don't think that'll ever get pushed through. There's very bad examples of that being implemented in Australia and a couple other regions that have zero data that improves the situation. So I think this is one of those election things that they say, hoping that people don't really notice what they're actually saying. But ultimately, that form of intervention is not going to be profitable for the average person. And I don't think OREA is going to allow that to happen. But even if they do, the way that it was sort of proposed looks like it would only be on market deals, which again, we don't play with.
Got you. Perfect. Thanks for that.
Yep, no worries.
Yeah, I
David?
got a question.
Well,
Yeah, so you talked about the markets that you worked in, mainly Southwestern Ontario.
Yeah.
Looking to break out into Alberta and New Brunswick, both which I think are fantastic markets. You also talked about the deals that you inherently look at, which is small multifamily and commercial with like upper level units. Correct me if I'm wrong. Is there going to be any branching out from the small multifamily? Is there any branching out maybe to commercial property or to large multifamily? You talked about vacant land, or are you very happy with the market that you're working in and you want to stick within that given market?
I would say that we're very well equipped to deal with small to medium multifamily residential right now. We are not very well equipped to deal with large commercial ventures like strip malls or anything like that. However, if you were looking at what's going on more broadly in the economics right now, like macroeconomically, I think there's going to be a lot of opportunity in the commercial side. I just don't have the buyers list for it at the moment. So anybody that would be joining our team right now would primarily be focused on what it is that we're great at. And eventually we might have a separate sort of division, almost in the way that we have a cottage business that does the exact same thing. So I'll talk about the cottage business here in a second, or let Rebecca talk about it. But we sort of want to segment that type of thing. And the reason for that is we have like 10,000 people that are really well trained at buying small multifamily from us. Now, when I say small, we can also take on a medium multifamily, like 50 to 100 units. We can do those deals. It's not a huge deal. It's just we have less of those buyers. And quite often, if you're just breaking into wholesaling, you're actually not going to be well equipped to negotiate those buildings, more often than not anyways, unless you have a decent amount of real estate background. Industrial or vacant land or agricultural, I don't want to touch at all. It's just a pain in the ass. And there's a totally different type of buyer that deals with that, and we're not equipped for it. And there's something to be said. There's a Bruce Lee quote, like, never fear the man who practices 10,000 kicks, right? But you should really fucking fear the guy who practices one kick 10,000 times. And I really do live by that. I think it's very good to specialize in things, and the generalist generally gets passed by the specialist when you've got a system working around you.
So the business plan is mainly surrounded around like get very good at small multifamilies. Let's stick with what we're good at as opposed to spreading out and branching out, correct?
Yeah, I mean, geographically, I could see spreading out, but I think it would still deal largely with what we're great at, which is it is that way for a reason, right? There's a reason why people buy more single families. There's a reason why people buy more duplexes, triplexes, fourplexes, and sixplexes. The reason for that is capital requirements, right? It's way easier to get mortgages. It's way easier to have down payments for that type of thing. It's way easier proportionally to pay fees on that type of thing and have that liquidity available. So that's generally why we focus on that sort of niche, right?
Makes sense. Yeah, you want to hit as many buyers as possible. When you talk about massive commercial properties, you're talking about a select few members of the population. So it makes sense.
Yeah, there's just less buyers for every $100,000 you go up, right? It's just how it works. And so what we've done is we've become very good at quickly assigning those deals that are, let's just say, $1 million or less, right? And so those deals for us are very, very quick to go through our system. We can have an offer created for one of those deals. Like, we can analyze the property and have an offer created within 24 hours. And then if it's a great deal, we can have it assigned anywhere from 0 to 36 hours after that, right? And so if we're doing it that quickly, it often makes a lot of sense to have a lot of base hits rather than go for these huge home runs on, say, a large commercial venture, right? Which has a lot of red tape as well, because now we're talking about environmental assessments, we're talking about different types of appraisals, all of that stuff comes into play. Where with the small single family residential or small multifamily residential, we don't really have a lot of that. We're not getting into phase twos. We're just having really quick walkthroughs. We know and understand how to compare them. There's lots of comparables available on duplexes and small multifamily. There's less comparables available on large commercial properties. And then just some of those other financial restrictions are dangerous.
Now, when you go and train a wholesaler, is it, hey, Amar is the multifamily guy, Rebecca is the cottage person? Is it along those lines? Or is it, hey, wholesalers, go and work whatever leads you possibly can?
Yeah, we generally set up, so we've got the boot camp program now that's built out, which is 4 weeks of just like learning everything about our process. And then after that, what we typically do is we actually pair you up with one of our wholesalers. Now, if you were saying, for example, like, hey, I'm only interested, like, I'm very, very interested in multifamily. That's what I primarily want to focus on. We would pair you up with Tyler and Jordan, right? Like, these are our guys that, generally speaking, if we have a large multifamily deal, that's who's going to generally take it down. But the way that we kind of segment our people is more geographically or regionally. So like, we've got a guy for Windsor, we've got the Sarnia and that sort of regional or city kind of allocation. But yeah, if you were like, hey, I really just want to look at how to get more multifamilies, we would send you to Tyler and Jordan. You would go hang out at their house for, a week or something and learn how to analyze their deals the way that they do, and generally approach those strategies with them, right? Like, how do you identify more of these versus the single families?
Perfect. I don't want to take up too much of the time. I know that there's a lot of questions. I just have one more question.
Yep.
What about like laws and legalities surrounding wholesaling? I know America is they have a lot less regulation when it comes to wholesaling. How is Ontario? And do you find that that's like a big impediment to the wholesaling process?
Yeah, so that's a fantastic question. And it's often one of the biggest questions people have when they join our team. If they're not thinking directly about how long is it going to take me to get paid, they're thinking about the legalities of things. And the way that Ontario has phrased this in REBA's 2002 legislation, which is where it talks about brokering, trading, and all that stuff in real estate. It's the Real Estate Brokers Act of 2002. They really break out sort of what it means to trade in real estate. And trading in real estate is what you don't want to be doing. And the way that we avoid that is by having the financial capacity. And this is, again, another huge reason why joining a team or joining a company is very important, that a lot of independent people don't understand. If you have the capacity to purchase the property and you have a stake in that building, you actually have liability, you're taking on risk, you have capacity to purchase it if necessary, then you can assign as many of these deals as you want. So what we're doing is we're getting an accepted contract. We are providing consideration, right? We're putting down deposits on these things. We have the financial capacity to close on any deal that we ever do. And that keeps us on the right side of the law when it comes to whether or not you're trading in real estate. Because what you don't want to be doing is brokering real estate. So if you didn't have the capacity, so if those of you in the room that can't get a mortgage right now for the properties that you're looking to wholesale, you're probably, and if you got one of those contracts, you put down a small deposit, you don't have the capacity to actually close that deal, you're probably now getting on the wrong side of that gray line. Okay. Now, where you're insulated from that is where you join a team like mine. And, we've made 7 figures consistently for the last 2 years now. And we can very easily show the capacity to purchase any of these buildings. And ultimately, our corp has a couple units in its name. So we've definitely executed on that as well. That's a big part of this, right? If you're working independently, you're putting out offers, but you have $5 in your bank account or you don't have, 20% season for 3 months at least, you're probably becoming very close to the wrong side of that gray line. So that's definitely a big deal here. So I guess long story short, it is a problem, right? But if you join a team that has the financial capacity to back you, you're much, much, much safer. Okay. And that's what keeps us above board. And that's what keeps us on the right side of the law. Because ultimately you need to be on the right side of the law or they will 100% come for you. They're pretty good at that. I don't know if you've seen, but the Liberal government's pretty good at reaching. Alan?
Yeah, so I presume his question has been answered, but thank you guys, for creating, I guess, the ethos for, young, creative and beast-like persons that want to join a team and do new ventures in life and all of that stuff. But my question was, I guess, kind of compartmentalized between you and Rebecca in like a sense, because I know there's the cottage buying team and then I guess the small multifamily buying team. And my question is like, do you think there's like different requirements or different skills or acumen that's required for like the two separate business ventures, I guess, technically speaking, just in general? Yeah,
that's a great point, Alan. So there's really 3 different types of positions that I would say we're generally hiring for right now. One of the roles that I would love to hire for as soon as possible is our actual disposition specialist. Okay, somebody who will focus and work alongside with Rebecca here to actually service our buyers. Okay, so there's 2 sides of our business. There's buyers and there's sellers. Our sellers are who the wholesaler is dealing with exclusively. Okay, the buyers are dealt with the disposition specialist. So that is a role where you're constantly on the phone. You're constantly calling our buyers list. You're trying to expand our buyers list and running a lot of promotional and sort of like generating attention for our buyers list. So like we run a weekly webinar, Rebecca and I, and primarily that's Rebecca like getting getting guests and talking to them every week on our webinar. Rebecca's pushing out all of our deals in the buyers packages and calling investors that fit that profile so that she can actually sell our deals and make the most of the contracts that we get. That's one role. Second role is our wholesaler on our main team. To be on our main team, you're going to have to come to one of our houses. So we've got a house in Pickering and we've got a house in London. Okay, that's an immersive experience where you're going to live with these guys. You're going to train with them. You're going to eat with them. You're going to do everything with our guys and become the best as fast as possible. Okay. That's a requirement. The third type of role or position with our team would be with our cottage buyers company. So what we do is we also wholesale cottages, right? There's going to be a lot more domestic travel in the next coming years. Just because a lot of people aren't going to either want to travel internationally because of COVID and restrictions and bullshit, or they're just not going to be able to because maybe they're unvaccinated or some other health decision, right? They're going to be more travelers at home domestically. So we created a division of our business called Cottage Buyers Inc., right? Obviously, this is what we want. And so that type of wholesaler does a lot of the same things that the Make It So wholesaler will do. However, there's a bit of a difference in how they do it. Okay. So they're ultimately doing the same role, which is lead generation and follow-up and negotiations to get these contracts, but they're doing it a lot more remotely. Okay. When we look at cottages, they're dispersed quite broadly. Like there's not a very high density of cottages in any one area. Okay. You've got different lakes, you've got different municipalities and little towns that have beaches on them. And so we market to a much broader geographic regions per wholesaler with the cottage business. Okay, so that involves a lot more driving, a lot more what I would say is like hand-to-hand combat. So like you're going to have to be calling Kijiji a lot more and calling Facebook a lot more, or potentially just even driving for dollars a lot more. Whereas Make It So, we have more of a flyer-based engine where we throw a lot of money at the problem, but it allows us to centralize a lot of our lead generation to highly population dense areas, like major cities like London, for example, or Pickering or Hamilton or Brampton. So those are kind of the different roles. All right. So if you're like, I love being on the road, I love cottage country, I love calling Kijiji and cold calling all day and being more of a hand-to-hand type of person, outbound lead generation, that's probably going to place you more likely to be with the cottage buyers. Now, if you are preferring inbound and you're willing to take on some of the costs associated with that and sending out all this constant marketing and being closer into the cities and being in one of our houses, that's Make It So. All right. Disposition Specialist, that could be a little bit more of a remote role, but there would have to be a serious intensive onboarding process as well with Rebecca. So that would probably require either you traveling here for a period of time or, figuring something else out where we can make an arrangement that Rebecca can teach you essentially everything she knows. So all of it's pretty intense.
So I guess a follow-up question. So hypothetically speaking, if I got hired, per se, for like a disposition specialist per se, would you still be allowed to become a wholesaler or be a cottage wholesaler?
No.
Or even so, like, okay.
Never. Specialist. Everybody on my team's a specialist.
Okay, then.
We become great at what you do. Like great. I want exceptional people at what you do. And for those people that are like, it's kind of boring. Like it's not boring. It's actually a huge challenge with yourself. Like, how do I get a little bit better every time? We start playing games right over the phone, trying different sales techniques, trying different types of inflections. Today, we watched a whole video on tonality. It really is all about mastering that little piece that you do. It's not something Canadians or North American culture does very well. Okay. You have to think more of like the Asian cultures that actually spend a lifetime doing a very small scope of job, but they become freaking awesome at it. And that's a way better way to look at what we're trying to accomplish with our systems and processes, rather than like the North American style of just like, hey, let's be generally pretty shit at a lot of things and blunder and bumble our way through life. Like it's just not a good way to do it. The Japanese or a lot of those Asian cultures just have it figured out better in that way. And that's something that I've studied, something that I would rather have in my company, because you just get way better results, right? When we added Rebecca's role, which is disposition specialist, we never had that role before, but I was just trying to imagine like, how do we get more with the contracts that we currently have? And the best solution I could find for that was like, well, the wholesaler is doing too much. If they have to deal with the paperwork, they have to write their own offers, they have to analyze their own deals, they have to do the walkthroughs and negotiate the contract. Then they have to create a seller, like a package for people to buy the thing. Then they have to pitch that to a bunch of different buyers, walk those people through the building, and get that contract signed. There's like 2 different negotiations happening there. There's a bunch of photos that need to be taken, a lot of leads that you need to go through on both ends to make it actually happen. It was like, no, this is way too much. What if just one person sold all the deals and became great at selling all the deals? Well, our average wholesale fees went from like 17,000 to 40,000 instantly. Okay, so now we essentially doubled our money by simply adding a specialist in that role and allowing Rebecca to really come into her own and build our buyers list out way more robustly and do the appropriate level of follow-up. So it's a really cool system that we've got. And we've been able to, like, easily, I would say, double our money by adding that position and setting our business up in that way. And that goes to for Natalie's position, which is essentially making sure that all of our paperwork and lawyer communication and all of the communication coming from our company to the public is done timely, it's done accurately, it's it's always there ready for the wholesaler. And we've got some pretty fast turnaround times on paperwork and everything. And that just helps us become better at negotiating. So yeah, specialists only.
I got another question. Quickly, so my question was, what would be like the day-to-day life of a wholesaler? Like, what time let's say you do get selected, what time would you have to wake up? What time do you leave to go knock on doors and etc.?
It looks like Amara's taking a call right now, but
Is he?
Like generally speaking, we meet every morning at 8 a.m. for kind of like a daily huddle. Every single day there's a different topic. So we've got like training, we've got objection handling, we've got just workshopping the systems and processes. We've got inventory review day where we just go through all the current deals we have under contract and things that were recently assigned and how we got those wins, or maybe what's preventing us from getting our current deals assigned. So we do that every morning at 8. And then I think a lot of the time is going to have to be spent essentially building out lead gen. So you're going to have to be posting on Kijiji, calling Kijiji ads, calling Facebook ads. It could be networking with real estate agents, pest control people, garbage disposal people, hanging out with property managers, whatever that looks like, right? Like it's building the pipeline out to really understand where my lead's going to come from, knowing full well that really only 7% of my offers are going to get accepted, right? So there needs to be a lot of leads. Like you need hundreds of leads per month to actually get to an actual decent deal that we know that we can assign. So I think a lot of the day is just spent doing those activities, right? And the way that these guys all manage is we all use calendars, okay? We have a calendar for everything. So our calendars are very well laid out. It's mapped out for the whole day to tell you where you have to be, make sure that you're not missing walkthroughs, make sure you're building in time for your business to actually work on generating those leads. And then the rest of it's just execution, right? Showing up every day.
Yeah, so funny you said that because you were the first person I had to say live out of your calendar. But my question is piggybacking off what I asked you in terms of like the disposition. So there's a pipeline of the wholesaler taking in the lead and then passing it on to the disposition person. And then the disposition person would deal with the buyers and all of that stuff. So due to the fact that the disposition specialist wouldn't necessarily be brokering deals on the intake end, how would the commission structure be like orchestrated and in terms of like all of that stuff? Or would they be paid, I guess? I'm not sure. So I'm just asking how would that work out?
Yeah. So the disposition specialist gets a relatively smaller commission compared to the wholesaler, but they get a base salary as well. And then the wholesaler is paid 37% of the commission of the gross assignment fee. And the way it kind of works is the rest of that money, so the rest of the 63% essentially gets spent on all of the administrative stuff. So we've got a full-time CPA for you guys that helps with all your numbers, helps with all your KPIs, and keeps you guys on track and feeds you with exceptional data and data analysis to drive your decision-making. It pays for 50% of the marketing costs that you incur. So we send a lot of flyers, company covers 50%, you cover the other 50%. Reason for that is we want you to have skin in the game so that every call matters. And then it pays for essentially the disposition specialist salary, mine and Natalie's, so that you guys get all of your offers created for you, all of your assignment paperwork created for you, and your deals sold. So the wholesalers make 37% and the disposition specialist gets a base salary plus 3%.
Okay, thank you. I guess nobody else has a question, but let me
Salim's
take
got a
that.
question here. Hold up.
Oh, okay.
Salim's got a
Go ahead.
question.
Hey guys, how you guys doing? Thanks a lot for having us here. I just had a couple questions here. Speaking about the disposition team, I see that it looks like this person will create the marketing content for the buyers. Is that right? Like the package that gets built out?
I can answer that. So basically, I get a deal under contract. I know the most about the deal, so I put together a buyer's package. Then I meet with the disposition specialist. I pitch them the deal. I talk to them, hey, here's the key points. Here's what's important. Here's the investment, the investment strategy for the deal, et cetera, and here's my comparables. I already have that together in a package. That way the disposition specialist knows everything they need to know about the deal to properly sell it to the investor. And then they proceed to go out and market it.
Got you. So just out of curiosity, how long or what is the average turnover of that pipeline when you secure a deal as a wholesaler and it comes to the disposition team? How often or what's the turnover on clearing out that pipeline?
So putting together a buyer's package usually takes 24 hours. Then it's a matter of meeting together, which is it's a quick 15 to 30 minute meeting. And then sending out the email. The email gets drafted up as you're meeting together. And then the email gets sent out. Walkthroughs get booked. Sometimes, most times we get sight unseen offers depending on how good the deal is. And then, yeah, I think that answers the question, right?
Yeah, I guess a little more context there is we put a standard 3 weeks of conditional period, 2 to 3 weeks. We always try for 3, but we usually have 3 weeks of conditional period, and that allows us to get the buyer's package done, get it sent out, get it marketed. The disposition specialist that then gets rained on by a bunch of people saying crazy shit like send the details after we just sent all the details. So they deal with all that follow-up. That takes a day or two, and then all the walkthroughs are scheduled. And so usually I would say we have our walkthrough scheduled within the first week of those conditions. And then that allows us, if we miss it on our first set of walkthroughs, we can do a second set of walkthroughs if we didn't assign it. And then that'll take us into sort of week 2. And generally, we're really hoping and looking to have the deal assigned in that second week, if not the first. And that's usually when we'll apply some other pricing strategies, like perhaps we need to do a price drop or, reevaluate the deal, reevaluate the comp, see if we made a mistake somewhere. And then that's when we're going to push it out again. It usually will then be featured on 2 or 3 of our weekly webinars. So people are getting a lot of exposure to it there. And if we can't assign it at that point, that's when we'll have to essentially mutually release the deal. We get our deposit back. We refer out our sellers to a local real estate agent or somebody that we think we might be able to help them if we were wrong on our price or something like that. And and then we wish them the best and we carry on. Yeah, and that's why
the success. Yeah, I was going to say. So, what does success look like for the disposition specialist? I mean, is it about them securing the buyer and then that's their KPI, or like how many of those buyers they secure as their KPI? What exactly are they measured on?
Yeah, so this is a great question. There's an idea or a principle in business that everybody should have a number, right? So everybody should know exactly what their number is and how to achieve that. Like for our wholesalers, for example, it's 30 offers, right? That's the big success criteria. You do 30 offers a month. I personally have had a big challenge trying to assess what the number is for the disposition specialist. So the best thing that we could come up with was actually the speed at which the deal is released. And then obviously, it is a success when deals are assigned, but it's not really the inverse or the converse if they're not assigned, because obviously the disposition specialist didn't create that contract, right? So in short, I don't have a great way to measure success for the disposition specialist. I know when we're successful, that's when we hit our minimum sort of break even assignment revenue. Is that the disposition specialist or is that the wholesaler? Well, it's a unit, it's a whole team working together. So it's a really bad answer, but we don't have a number for the disposition specialist. But that's ultimately just the truth. Like I personally don't know how to assess the success of that role without placing responsibility on that role that isn't necessarily directly in their control. Okay. Offers for a wholesaler, very easy to control. You either made an offer or you didn't. Okay. And if you didn't make an offer, it's because you didn't generate leads. Okay. So that's directly in the control of the wholesaler. But saying like the disposition specialist needs to assign X amount of deals or X amount of percentage of deals isn't really a good thing to measure because it's not inside their control. That's a lag measure, not a lead measure. So a couple of things that we look for from the disposition specialist is continuous improvement on our buyers list. We want to continuously gain more data and more information about our markets, as well as our growing the actual number of people on our buyers list. So that's a big deal for us. But yeah, I mean, we understand the average wholesale fee as well. So it's obviously great when we get close to that average, but again, not all contracts are created equally. Okay. If there's a contract that doesn't have as much spread, it's unreasonable to assume that the disposition specialist can get more or get our average if the contract itself didn't have the room built into it. So
yeah, and maybe that's a kind of leads on to another question, like in terms of when you're pitching it to the buyers, how happy are the buyers in terms of their success rate? Are you following up on their success and trying to secure them again for the next deal, and the next deal, and the next deal?
Yeah, a lot of our buyers, I don't have the stats in front of me on this, but a lot of our buyers are repeat buyers. Okay, so we're going to follow up with them. If you guys had attended this Wednesday webinar, you would have seen Superior Solutions, a contracting team that bought one of our deals, and they were on our webinar now, right? Showing us some of the progress photos, talking about some of the renovations they were doing, and generally interacting with us. We have a very, very high success rate with people buying again from us because we offer a shitload of value, right? Like if you're going to the market these days and there's not a lot of supply and there's a lot of demand, that's what's been happening for the last couple of years, all across Ontario, I would say. You know, it's very difficult to get great deals. And that's why people are actually willing to pay us fairly significant wholesale fees, is because we go and we spend all day as specialists identifying those great deals, right? That's something that the average investor doesn't have time to do because they're so invested in running the projects that they have, right? They have to be renovating, they have to be doing project management, they have to be maintaining their portfolio, whether that's renovations or just property management. So that's a big deal for them. Now, when people buy from us, they're exchanging usually pretty big sums of money, right? We're talking on average $37,000, $40,000 for our fee. That's a big fee. So when they go in and they do that, if somebody's going to make that decision, first of all, we're not dealing with amateurs, right? If you have a down payment of 20%, let's take London, where the average home price is 500,000, let's say. Okay, you've got a down payment of 20%, that's $100,000 in cash. Right. And then you've also got $40,000 to pay us. That's $140,000 in cash. Plus you've got a renovation budget, right? Most of the properties we're looking at can benefit from kitchen, bathroom, flooring, landscaping, lighting, and paint. You know, let's just call that all another 50 grand. All of a sudden you're looking at somebody that's got $200,000 of liquid capital. These guys aren't amateurs, right? So they do a lot of their due diligence, right? The people that buy from us are often very informed people and informed investors that are going to continue buying from us so long as they get a great deal. What's a great deal? Well, a great deal is the purchase price that we get it at, plus our fee, plus renovations, and then plus their profit. And that hopefully is, at or around that ARV price. And that's everything to us, is how much under the ARV can we possibly get our properties so that people have the room to pay us, but then also make a bunch of profit. And usually that's, we're trying to look for minimum profit for them should be somewhere around 2 times what we're making. Okay. Because they're taking on quite a bit more risk.
That's perfect. And in terms of are you, when you're selling it to the buyer, are you trying to find them like an end-to-end solution?
Yeah, we can offer that. We can offer that. I would say we're really light on contractors. we do not have a huge network of contractors, but every other service provider, whether that's lawyer, accountant, real estate agent to dispose of it, or mortgage agent,
broker, financing.
Yeah, we have deep connections in all of those. Like I've gotten lots of our buyers insurance on products or properties where they were like, hey, we can't get insurance. I'm like, yeah, let me just solve that for you, right? Because we know the people that will insure just about anything or finance just about anything. So we can definitely offer that as part of our sort of vertical stack.
Okay, and maybe a quick question for Amar. Sorry, when you're doing your wholesales, you have to actually be in the locality that you're working in. So, for example, if you're looking in the market of St. Thomas or Brantford, let's just say, you would be physically there every day doing something in that market, or is it still, well, right now with COVID, maybe it's a little bit virtual, but a lot of what I do,
routine? I have much more success if I'm there physically. So I do a lot of work in Belleville, Quinte West area, but I live in Pickering. So I commute an hour and a half. So after this call, I'm gonna get off, shower, get ready, and then go to a walkthrough, and then come back and commute. So you definitely do a lot better if you're there physically, because it's the interactions that you have with people. Wholesaling is a people's game. So if you can get people to like, know, and trust you, you'll do well. So it's definitely better to be there physically.
Yeah. So when a buyer's coming to you and they're doing a walkthrough, they're not treating you like you're an agent, or you're not working with the seller as if you're an agent.
No.
We're coming in as like a company just selling, trying to make a deal, secure a contract with them.
Yeah, exactly. Does that make sense?
All right. Yeah, for sure. Okay. Thanks a lot, guys. Appreciate it.
Ivan, you've been patiently waiting there.
Yeah, my God. Okay, first of all, I'm a big fan of all of your channel, all of your team. I've been watching this channel for about like 2 years, since the moment I discovered it through Graham Stefan's video where he collabed with Matt McKeever. Like from the first moment I came to Canada, I've been watching your channel. I've been dreaming about meeting your team. Like honestly, to be honest, Amar's video about his success and how he went through all of those struggle in those 14 months and everything really inspired me. But again, I'm trying to be really, let's say, I'm trying to think ahead. And I do understand that right now I'm unable to join your team, but I wanted to meet you as soon as possible. I will definitely be trying to join your team in the next year, because again, I'm still going through immigration process. I just finished studying. I just got my first job. I need to secure funds because I know that nothing is a given. You won't be getting your deals in the first day. You won't be like, but you still need to live on something. So essentially, I'm trying to build my savings so I will be able to join your team, because I have always dreamt of being in a team of such people, because I can see that your team is driven. I'm watching every video and I'm inspired by it, honestly. Like, my God. I'm hoping you will be looking for new people in the next year. That's why.
We will save it up, dude. You're gonna need a bit of a buffer. That's a great point, Ivan, to bring up. Is you're gonna need some buffer here, guys. If you're not the real estate process is not entirely quick, right? So when you come and join our team, there's gonna be a period of time until you actually get paid, right? If you're joining as a wholesaler, so on average, it's going to take you a little bit of time to identify an actual deal. Now, our guys, when you're shadowing them, if you want to take a bunch of load off their plate, if you want to actually do a lot of the work for them, I'm sure you can negotiate some kind of split on the deals that you're shadowing. They're open to that all the time. Anytime these guys can do less work, I'm sure they're wanting to, especially if it's for a learning opportunity. So that's something available to you, but you got to think, when we make an offer, we've got 3 weeks of conditional period on that offer. And typically, inside that 3 weeks, we're going to try and get it assigned, but then it still needs at minimum 30 days to close. Okay. So minimum 30 days. More often than not, though, we're looking at 45 days to close. And some of the worst cases would be 60 to 90 days to close. So it's really a pipeline game. You got to stack the pipeline up and get several deals in the pipeline so that you consistently have closings. Okay. Amar does consistently 1 to 2 deals a month, every single month. And that means essentially every single month he has at least 1 to 2 deals closing. Okay. And that means Amar's getting paid consistently every month. But if you miss a month and you don't do a deal, that means that, you know, in 60 days, you've got a problem for yourself if you don't budget appropriately. So that's a great point to bring up. Now, of course, when we pay you, it's a lot of money typically, right? You just do the math, right? You look at a 40 or 50K fee and you get 37% of that. It's a decent paycheck, right? So the real trick is, how do we budget that? How do we not get sucked into some of the bad habits or, you know, kind of novice salespeople habits of like, oh, I made some money, I'm going to go buy a sports car, right? Day one. Not a good idea. You gotta stack it up. You gotta save it. You gotta live a little bit frugally until you get to that point where you've saved enough to become financially independent. So, and these are all skills and things that we talk about a lot on our team, so that hopefully people don't drift the wrong way. Now you're laughing because I got like 100 Rolexes behind me, but you know, at a certain point you need to live life too. But there needs to be a very long period where you just put your head down and you work your ass off and you save up that money. So that's a great strategy. Also, we need somebody to attack the Ukrainian and Russian areas here. So I'm sure we can use you, Ivan.
Real quick, I have to go very soon just so I can get to walkthrough. So if you guys have any questions for me, just shoot them right now.
Well, I guess I'm gonna shoot mine right now. So I guess as an aspiring wholesaler and wanting to like have skin in the game and like all of that stuff from the get-go, do you guys like recommend like an ad budget to do the whole like marketing for flyers, the yellow letter stuff and all of that stuff? And is it compartmentalized based upon if you're going to be in like the cottage area or if you're going to be like more in the urban areas? And yeah, how do you guys like normally recommend like your new wholesalers like just get going and having more skin in the game from like the get-go? Because this is my second shot at like trying to join your team. I went back to the drawing board. I built my buffer because I was mad broke before all of this. And then like, yeah, I'm trying to like do this.
It's more of like a specific amount of flyers. So if you know the city that you want to hit very, very well, then you would know the areas that are more run down. So C-type areas where, and generally speaking, that's where investors are looking for. And then those are the neighborhoods that you would want to be hitting, if that makes any sense. So like when I send out flyers, I just hit the whole town. I'm going to hit the whole town, and then I'm going to hit, so right now I'm hitting Belleville, Trenton, Oshawa, just the whole cities. And I try to take off the newer builds from Canada Post. And then generally speaking, whenever I send out a flyer campaign, I get a deal, and the deal is just like, it's a lot more than whatever it cost us. So it just makes sense to just keep sending them
just
out.
like pumping at it.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Do you guys have like I guess like a cost per acquisition for each deal, or is it based upon like the whole campaign of the like first like set of leads that you sent out, or flyers that you send out rather?
It really depends on the wholesaler themselves. So some wholesalers will have better conversions than others. Other ones, some markets will have better conversions. But I found that generally speaking, we make way more money in our wholesale, in our profit, than we spent on ads. You know what I mean? That's the beautiful part about this business, is that the fees are very large. It's like a high income sale almost. It's not like you're doing $500 deals, $1,000 deals here. You're doing very large deals at a time. So then those add up really quickly, and then you're able to just keep the marketing pumping. And it makes sense to do that. You know what I mean?
I guess. Yeah, it does. Rebecca, is like your cost per acquisition like a little bit higher than the guys, or for the cottage country, or is it lower? How does that kind of operate? And thank you, so much for the opportunity.
Sure. Thank you so much for your question. So far, it's about the same in terms of cost per acquisition, but we are still getting some more data there. As Adam mentioned, there are a lot of other lead generating sources, such as Kijiji. There's a lot of actual cottage owners who are just wanting to sell themselves off market. So they tend to post on Kijiji or Facebook Marketplace. So those are both free lead generation sources where you can negotiate directly with the the person selling their property. Certainly flyers is a strategy that is also effective in cottage country, although as Adam mentioned, the geographical area is a lot more spread out. So it just is a matter of identifying where you specifically want to target, but it's about the same in terms of cost of lead acquisition.
Yeah, I would say when you first join, like it's way more important to, I think it's a better strategy to go more hand to hand, unless you're coming in with like pretty exceptional skills or you learn very quickly. It's probably going to be more beneficial to go and do door knocking or go and call some of those free lead sources so that you can learn the types of communication styles of the various sellers, right? Like there's people that just shut you down really quick. You got to learn how to deal with that. You got to learn how to deal with the rejection. You got to burn some leads. I used to do door-to-door sales. I forgot to give you guys a bit of a background on me, but I did door-to-door sales. I eventually got pretty good at it, but it took me like 1,000 doors. Okay. Now, were there no deals in those 1,000 doors? Absolutely not. There was tons of deals on those 1,000 doors before I got that deal. It's just I hadn't had the training, the practice, the experience to actually master my communication skills, my rejection skills, my products, right? I was not enthusiastic as hell. I was not sharp as a tack, and I was not an expert at what I was doing. And it takes a long time to become those things. Those three things you need, right? Okay, that's from Belfort. He'll tell you need all three of those things working simultaneously to become a great closer. You won't have those when you first get started. Even if you're a great salesperson, you just won't have the full grasp of the system. And that takes a long time to do. So when you're spending on marketing, it costs us roughly 17 cents a flyer. And, you know, someone like Amar is going to send about 50 to 60,000 of those a month. Okay. You do the quick math on that. It's like $10,000. Okay. That's a lot of marketing. Now, if you're not closing any of those deals or from those leads that you get there, that bill can add up very quickly. And so that's why I generally recommend when you guys come on, you shadow my guys. Okay. You go to their walkthroughs with them, you take calls with them, you practice with them, you learn from how they're speaking, you learn the types of questions that are being asked, right? You learn what their rebuttals are, you learn our objections and the common ones. It's the same objection in every sale. It's just price, spouse, lawyer, whatever. It's all the same thing. Every sale is literally the same, except you have to actually master what our rebuttals are and what the actual process is like for them to sell their home. So, you know, once you get through that, it makes a lot of sense to send a campaign. Now, we've found in the last few years, we've really dialed in on our campaigns, and we found that the most effective campaign has at least 40,000 flyers in it. Okay. That's just the way it works. If you send less than that, you're not likely to get great results. And at 17 cents, that's at least $6,800. Okay. Now you divide that by 2, that's at least $3,400 coming out of your pocket. Okay. So you want to be effective when you're sending that type of flyer campaign out. You want to know that you can handle the objections. You want to know that you can actually get through the sales process and utilize those leads and convert them into actual usable money, right? You need to know that. And that kills people, right? That gets rid of some of the amateurs. And that's actually a great thing, right? For those people that want to join our team, it's important to know that you're the best, right? It's important to be the best. And you have to know that most people that try and wholesale, they're starting and they're getting into this because they think it's get rich quick. They think it's easy money. It's not easy money. And most of the people that try this independently don't understand the logistics of this. At any given time, we have about $200,000 out in deposits, and we have about the same amount out in flyers. Okay, so at any given time, we have $400,000 of liquidity out in the market that we can't touch, we can't access, you can't get it back. And if the guys don't produce, you lose half of that, right? You lose all the flyer money. You get all your deposits back eventually, but the system keeps going, right? We continuously get more deals under contract, which continuously lays out more capital for deposits. So we have a lot that we juggle. And for you guys getting started on the team, we want to see you actually do some deals. We want to see you actually convert some people before we start spending a bunch of money on you in terms of the actual marketing, because it's not going to help you or me, right? If you spend a bunch of money, you don't make any money, and then you leave, you've actually just wasted everybody's time, right? And so for the people that want to join our team, you want to be the best, but part of that is like facing really hard challenges, right? Go make some money door knocking first, because that's the hardest way in the whole world to make money. but it's also the most instructional. If you can go make money door knocking, you can make triple over the phone, right? You can make triple when you've got inbound calls. You can do whatever you want, but learning those hard skills, learning how to face rejection, becoming an expert, becoming sharp as a tack, and enthusiastic as hell on the doors makes it so much easier. When somebody tells you to fuck off on the phone, you're just like, oh, this is so easy. You're not actually slamming a door in my face in my person, right? Way easier over the phone because it doesn't have that media richness. So that's what we generally push our guys to start with is go shadow our guys, then go make some calls yourself, be terrified as hell to make the calls, and then eventually be terrified as hell to go knock some doors. You know, burn those doors, burn your 1,000 doors and get to that first deal. And once you do the first deal, I'm sure Amar will attest to it. You know, you do that first deal and then all of a sudden you're just flying. I mean, you do your next few deals right away. I make a shitty dad joke that it took me 24 years to buy my first property. And then I bought the next 3 in the next 3 months, right? It took me 24 years to figure out how to buy a property. It was impossible for those 24 years. I didn't know how to do it. But once I did it, I was like, oh shit, this is actually super easy. There's a process here I can follow. It's repeatable and there's a structure to it. And once you know that, and once you truly believe it, everything is possible. You can do 100 deals a month if you really wanted to, and you sent out enough marketing. You could do as much business as you wanted to, right? There's nothing holding back Amar from doing 1 million this year, other than his own personal shit, right? And he'll tell you that, right? If he wanted to double his business right now, there's nothing stopping him. It's not our system. It's not his markets. There's nothing stopping Amar from doing that. It's just simply limiting beliefs. Right. So this is why we want to hire great people who can sit with us and go, why don't we do $1 million a month? How come we only do 200 to 400? How come our best month is only 800,000? Why don't we do 1 million? Okay. We want people like that who are thinking like, well, how do we break this system? How do we break the ceiling out on this? So that's what I'm looking for. Daniel, you've been waiting patiently.
Just
Appreciate
real quick before that, I'm going to head out. So Daniel, is your correct a question directed at me or no?
I'm pretty sure you could answer it. My question would be, as a wholesaler starting on the team, how much of a buffer or savings would you say someone would need? How much would you recommend that they have? And how much are they going to be spending monthly? I know you mentioned roughly 3,800 or so for the flyers. So how much would someone need in general in terms of finances if they're going to start on the team and be working alongside you guys?
I'd say probably 3 to 6 months of living costs, of your own living costs, maybe more if that's possible. In terms of flyers and whatnot, Adam could probably answer that better. But thanks so much for coming today, guys. It was great to chat with you guys. I'd recommend 2 books, Be Obsessed or Be Average and Never Split the Difference. Go ahead and check those out. If you guys have any questions, DM me on Instagram, amar.elm. But I hope to see you guys on the other side. Peace.
Thanks, Mark. Yeah, I think that's a great benchmark there, would be having at least 3 months. 3 months is a bit tight because you are going to do a month of training and then you're going to do a month of failing. And then you're going to be in your 3rd month thinking, holy shit, I'm running out of money. That's probably a good indicator. Like if that stresses you out or you're the type that would get emotional about that situation, I would want a little bit more buffer. I started doing this with credit cards, right? I was living off of credit cards when I started doing this, and it took me 6 months to do my first deal. And by the time I was done, I was like negative 20,000 and freaking the hell out. And I actually traded my I had an Audi at the time that I bought from the door-to-door stuff. Like I said, amateur salesperson move, bought the sports car right away. I ended up trading that Audi for my truck because the dealership was able to give me 110% financing on the truck. And then I used that surplus of 10% to pay for fuel and pay for food for the remaining months until I got that first deal. So that's the type of grinding and the type of shit that I had to go through to get here. Our system's a lot better now. There's a lot better processes. There's a lot better people around. Okay. When I started it, it was me doing all the lead gen, me door knocking, me doing the walkthroughs, me taking the photos, me doing the negotiation, me trying to get the offer written, getting that offer signed, taking that offer back, creating a package while I was not doing lead gen. Okay, if you're creating packages, you're not doing lead gen. If you're marketing those deals out to buyers, you're not doing lead gen for your next deal. So I was doing it was all wrong. Okay, I was doing it all myself, not the way to make money. You actually need a team behind you if you want to actually scale anything. And that's ultimately what happened. Like, we grinded for a year, like just grind it. We lost so much money and spent so much time. But ultimately, had we given up then, it would have been a big failure. Ultimately, what we did then is we invested, right? We invested all that time, and we kind of changed course. When Matt essentially allowed me to buy the company, like, we changed course big, because I had to view it as a business. I had to view it as a organism, as a environment, as something that needed to be caressed. You got to love this thing if you want it to grow. So we watered that bitch. We planted some seeds. We spent a lot of time working on the business, which is not fun, because when you're doing that, you're not making money either. We built out all these systems and processes, and that's what got us here today. That's what got us Rebecca. That's what got us people like Amar to come to our team, but not only come, but stay, right? We've got a lot of the things that we do now is built around that retention, right? It's keeping everybody happy, making sure everybody's getting wealthy, and doing great deals that set us up for long-term success with our buyers and our sellers, right? We have a great name in our markets. We're very transparent with our sellers. We're very transparent in what we do and how we make our money. And we like to do the exact same thing with our buyers. It's very important to us that we have repeat buyers. We keep a community of people where we're adding value first. Okay, we're teaching people all the time with our webinars. We're training all of our guys first before we're asking them for anything, and that's kind of what we do. So yeah, that's pretty much what we had for today. And I'm a pretty punctual dude, and so we've reached our time limit here. But I'm going to play you guys out with one of our other songs. The first song you heard there was our Problems or Profits song, and this other one here is the Wholesale Gold Trail. We've also got another business that does NFTs. It's a rap company, so we've got a full-time rapper on our team, because that's how cool we are. 2 full-time CPAs and a full-time media team. So we are very busy, but we do some fun projects. So I'll show you the Wholesale Gold Trail. Any further questions, please just DM them to myself on Instagram. It's Adam JD Martin. We didn't get a whole lot of talking in on the cottage business today, but if you guys have any questions about the cottage business, or you think that that's more suitable for you, please reach out to Rebecca Lynn Matheson, and she will tell you anything you want to know. And we'll also probably have you guys sort of next steps. If I'm going to reach out to a few of you, there's a few people that stood out to me particularly. So I'll reach out, we'll put you through our funnel. We're going to ask you to make a video for us, put you on the spot a little bit, and bring you through our hiring process. So appreciate all of you guys. Thanks for showing up again. And here is the Wholesale Gold Trail.
Yeah, I heard you was looking for some off-market steals. I know a guy. I'm on the Wholesale Gold Trail. They trying to ride my coattails. No bails, no fails. Private loans and gross scales. I beg your pardon, run the market just like Adam Martin. I beg your pardon, run the market just like Adam Martin. On the Wholesale Gold Trail, they trying to ride my coattails. No bails, no fails. Private loans and gross scales. I beg your pardon, run the market just like Adam Martin. I beg your pardon, run the market just like Adam Martin. No one's out selling me or selling me short. Pull up with a rollie on in that new Tesla Sport. All you hear is deals, deals when we banging on your doors. Wanna put some new wheels on the black Aventador. We got off-market steals, we can be your biggest source. I've been eating bigger meals since I used a bigger fork. I've been balling on your heels and I didn't touch the court. I've been had you in your feels, but I do not have remorse. Don't talk that, walk that, I need it on the contract. Lock that, hop back, we operate like combat. Don't come around my energy, cause you gon' catch a contact. We the big wolves mousetrap can vouch that real estate is give and take, but wild like the outback. 7 figures and bigger, JD, show us about that. A click as thick as this, is it cap? No, I doubt. I'm on the wholesale gold trail, they trying to ride my coattails. No bails, no fails, private loans and growth scales. I beg your pardon, run the market just like Adam Martin. I beg your pardon, run the market just like Adam on the wholesale gold trail. They trying to ride my coattails. No bail.